as we work down the back straightaway. 125 laps set here for the accelerated GFX.com 125. Sit back and enjoy this one for Altamaha. The green flag is out and we are underway at Ace Speedway. Lap number one, it's going to be a battle side by side with Ryan Millington, I believe, coming across to lead the first circuit. Two very experienced drivers at this racetrack as Millington almost in the wall, trying to get these tires heated up. Again, they didn't run as many pace laps as they normally would.
Ryan Millington, who gets sideways off the corner in the 15s, told us during qualifying, this is the best race car I've ever had. McCarty, fresh off one race of rest after not running Wilkesboro, trying to hold off the lead as now Millington looks inside in turn 3, and McCarty slams the door shut.
You know, another driver that said, I've never had a car this good at Ace Speedway. It's the driver that just moved up into the third position already, Brendan Butterbean Queen, who has been very adamant this week, saying Lee Pulliam has never gone to victory lane here at this racetrack. That is something that I desperately want to bring to him. So he'll try to march on, get some points in the standings as well, as McCarty, for now, hold of the top spot with Millington not able to find a way by just yet.
All the while, the championship points leader Connor Hall still mired back in 12th, trying to make up ground, especially with Mother Nature threatening the full duration of this race. It's McCarty, Millington, your top two, still separated by about a car length. Remember back in May, Millington led over 100 laps before a mechanical issue with that car took him out of contention as McCumbee looks low on Lapsevich for fourth.
Yeah, it was a track bar issue in the last 10 or 15 laps of that race that still kept him in the running in the top 3 finishing spot, but kept him out of Cookout victory lane. As you can see, Lapsevich, that team working hard to replace a rear end after practice earlier today, but Lapsevich, again, so much quicker, so much more comfortable coming to this racetrack a second time. Again, we're kind of working to that portion of the schedule where, yes, we are visiting so many racetracks for the second time with a driver that's finally able to zero in on a package, get some experience right now. I think experiencing what it's like to be on the high side at Ace Speedway, which isn't fun.
There's Landon Lewis to the inside of Lapsevich, who, as you mentioned, Blake, just drop an anchor in that top lane right now. Isabella Robusto behind the 55, going to lunge to the inside, but can't quite get there before Lapsevich slams the doors shut. The only car we really see bottoming out at all seems to be that of the 77, especially getting into turn 3, as now Robusto and Tyrell make contact off 2.
A little bit of damage on the right front fender of Mini Tyrell, who kind of talked about the fact that, yes, he was a top 5 car here in the spring, and a very similar incident took that car completely out of the running. He was barely able to stay in the top 10. We'll see how he's able to handle that damage as Connor Hall looks on by. That's to try and get inside the top 10. He's going to be able to do so, as Hall, once again, they took a lot of big swings at that number 22 over the course of the last day after practice, and even after opening practice today. They were working hard on that Nelson Motorsports number 22 as Tyrell scrapes the wall, and I think you can see, yes, may have gotten squeezed there, but I don't think that damage is going to help at all with that number 81.
Tyrell is going to stop the bleeding as he falls down to about the 11th spot as Connor Jones got by. That's Caden Quapple behind him in the Bass Pro Shops number 8, fresh off his trip to Cookout victory lane.
Look at the brake rotors already.
And that's what I was about to say. We're only about a handful of laps into this race, and you can see these drivers are pressing hard, including Jones, who gets tagged by Tyrell, who shoves him aside.
Tyrell will try to scoot away and allow Quapple to come down into the mix so he can drive away from that number 44 car. Quapple to the inside, he's got the position down into turn 1. Jones has to concede that, and Mini Tyrell, well, it's one of the rules of short track racing. If you're going to make a little contact, make sure that you can drive away. Tyrell is able to do that. Quapple, who just got out and has to drive a completely different race car that drives totally different at a very technical racetrack, able to make his way by Connor Jones.
Jones tried to sharpen up his exit off of turn number 2 to see if he could look back to the inside of Caden Quapple in turn 3 in the 8 car, but to no avail. He'll try it again here off 4, as there's a pretty good gap between Tyrell and the cars they're chasing further up the road. Here's Connor Hall in the 22, continuing his charge forward. Just cracked the top 10 a few laps ago. And Blake, as we saw with Spencer Davis, not the best of qualifying efforts for our pro late model point leader, caught some early damage after being in the mid-pack. Connor Hall's trying to avoid that by charging forward early.
And again, this kind of reminds me of what we saw out of him a week ago, which Connor Hall, if you didn't know, debuted in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Richmond Raceway. Again, a track notorious for being difficult for first-timers. Goes out there and pretty much runs almost a race akin to what you're seeing now. Again, you're not going to have to save all that much in terms of tire wear at this racetrack, but somebody who came from Langley, went to Richmond, hung around the top 20, but was moving forward. At the end of every single run, Connor Hall was making some hay and ended up with a top 10 finish at his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut. I know he did everybody in the Tour proud, and, you know, we're hoping that may lead to more in the future.
Here's Tyrell, now he's caught up to Robusto, while Connor Jones in the 44 looks low on Caden Quapple in the 8. Again, we just completed lap 20. So we have 105 laps to go, but there is threatening weather off to the west, and the agenda of what looks to be the majority of the field is to press as hard as possible right now, and it's creating some moments of contact.
Oh, a huge stack up as Tyrell got loose. Everybody had to check up for it. Jones was able to take advantage and look to the inside. Again, it is so difficult. Tyrell trying to move by. He's got a little bit of that damage and trying to use every bit of racetrack. As Robusto up the hill, Quapple checks up to not go 3 wide. Dylan Harville, who's won 4 races this year, moves out of the way. One of the local favorites here, looking to make all the laps after an unfortunate mechanical issue that he had earlier in the spring, is just going to be able to clear Robusto, struggling on the top. 3 wide again. That doesn't work here at Ace.
Ward in the middle, able to get by Quapple and stop Hickory 2 winner Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 04 from getting by, but for how long? Look at, no, now Ward. Ward's got a problem.
Ward blowing up on the front straightaway. Quapple goes high to avoid, and the caution flag comes out as Dean just able to go by and see what happens to Dylan Ward. McCarty, Millington, Queen, and Brent Cruz jumping up on the outside. Your top 4 through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. McCarty gets us back underway. It is tight for second. Queen trying to make the move down to the inside of the 15, Orion Millington. Queen, a great drive off the corner, allows McCarty to drive away by about a car length. Brent Cruz down to the bottom. Can Millington cut down? Oh, trouble. Caden Quapple halfway spun in the middle of 1 and 2. And we will see the Shitty Coolers caution out for the second time. McCarty, Millington, still your top 2 through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Back underway here at Ace Speedway. Millington looking to the outside to try and fend off McCarty. He's got a little bit of momentum, and oh, so many of those drivers close to scraping the outside wall, but it hasn't slowed Millington at all. Side by side off the corner. Queen may try to look 3 wide.
Boy, Queen certainly thought about it, and remember, he is second in championship points, still side by side for the lead. Millington up top in the 15, McCarty down low in the 6, Butterbean in 3rd, and Millington making that top side work as he's the leader at the line by half a car length.
Millington said earlier today, this may be the best car I've ever had at Ace Speedway, and he's had some tremendous cars, and he's putting it on display right now, trying to get the job done on the outside. He just about has McCarty clear off the corner, and indeed he does. What a restart. Ryan Millington on the outside at Ace Speedway takes back the lead. Are you kidding me?
And we mentioned Millington led 100 laps here back in May as we got a caution. Turn number 2, we got a car that has gone around in 1 and 2. Hard to tell if our vantage point, it looks like it might be sitting stationary there towards the inside wall. Is that Brandon Pierce?
For Ryan Millington. Back through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Millington this time gets us fired off and into turn 1 as he looks to try and clear Bobby McCarty off the corner. That he does, but a little bit of contact behind him. McCarty. Here comes Queen down to the inside.
Queen up alongside of McCarty on the restart. I believe Landon Lewis had a little bit of a hiccup getting up through the gears. We almost had a repeat of what we saw at North Wilkesboro. Everybody's able to keep straight with no damage. Queen to second. McCarty slices down to the bottom to try to stop Chad McCumbee in his return to Cars Tour competition from getting up and on the podium, at least for now.
I think that's an experienced move, entering that low to try and get down, and as you mentioned, shut the door on Chad McCumbee. Is trouble further back. It looks like Blake Stallings lost a little bit of momentum. He may have some damage on the nose, it looks like, of that number 15 car. As a checkup, yes, and look at the right front fender for Blake Stallings, who had moved his way up into the 6th position. It looks as though he may have a rub. There you can see the damage for Landon Lewis in the left rear quarter panel as well.
Keep our eyes on that one as you see Stallings down to the outside of Ronnie Bassett Jr. Caden Quapple just behind him as well. That's Dean Ward on the inside after his son Dylan had a mechanical issue that put him out of this race. This is Dean's Cars Tour late model stock debut in the 12 as he almost washes up into Stallings and Quapple almost caught the wall.
In fact, he may have to see this time around. Look at the passenger side door of that race car. But Blake Stallings wanted to touch on it that he is a fabricator and welder for R&S race cars throughout the season. Runs here locally at Ace Speedway. Won it earlier this year. Won a track championship in 2018. Won the biggest late model stock race of the year here at this racetrack, the Rodney Cook Classic in 2017. It's been chomping at the bit to try and run this race and was showing so well early in the top 5. It's going to be really difficult to hold on here with the fender damage. As you can see, Dean Ward trying to fend off Connor Jones in the 44.
30 laps away from this being an official race here tonight with Millington leading. And you can see everybody is racing as if they're not sure this one is going to go the distance, with Jones now trying to take advantage of Dean Ward sliding by.
And how about Dean Ward started at the back of the field and yet very quickly, not even 30 laps in, had worked his way almost up into the top 10. It's impressive what he's able to do at his age, and again has continued to rack up race wins throughout the decades. In fact, Dean Ward has won late model stock car races and short track races spanning 5 separate decades.
Wow.
He has been doing it for a very, very long time. Won a track championship here at Ace Speedway in 1995 and 1997. Racing started in that family with his father, Gene, who won hundreds of races up and down the East Coast. Great to see that Ward family is still kicking it here at Ace Speedway. Back up front, Ryan Millington has stretched out his advantage over Brendan Queen right now. It's nearly up to a second at the moment. McCarty in third. Brent Cruz has gotten up to fourth. You can see the intervals right there as Cruz just able to get by Chad McCumbee to get up to that 4th spot. And don't look now, how about Connor Hall? Seemingly every single week, if he qualifies outside of the top 10, it does not take him long to make up some spots, and here he is in 6th, looking to try and get up into the 4th spot.
Paul was pretty adamant about the fact he wasn't happy with this car for the most part after the practice day held here yesterday. Turned some heads though in second practice, was up there in the top 3, but started the race in 12th. We've seen Connor have to come from behind the 8 ball a couple of times so far this season, and it looks like tonight may be no exception. As you're right, Blake, he's worked his way up in the 6th and is knocking on the door of what would be potentially his 9th top 5 finish, should he be able to get up there and stay there till the end of this race in 2024.
And I know just behind him you see Trayton Lapsevich in that number 77 car. Again, with his interview that he had with Matt Weaver earlier today, he said the approach for he and his Chad Bryant Racing team, same as usual, and taking the mindset that that win, once the appeal process is had through, and there will be an appeal hearing early next week between the Cars Tour and that Chad Bryant Racing team, their mindset here is focused forward, but they are considering that they are the winners at North Wilkesboro Speedway, which if that were to be overturned, my goodness, would that throw yet another wrench in this championship fight. There's a lot of points on the table riding on the outcome of that appeal.
Went from 4th to 7th in points by virtue of the disqualification of Wilkesboro, did that of Lapsevich. So should the appeal fall their way, that pendulum could swing in leaps and bounds, especially if he keeps that car in the top 10 here tonight. No slowing down that of Ryan Millington, and we talked about the performance that car and driver had here at Ace last May. But we'd be remiss if we did not talk about what happened at Hickory, where he led 121 laps that night in the throwback event at Hickory before things got physical between he and Connor Hall. Made the decision that Connor Hall was not going to win that race and was penalized for rough riding after coming across the finish line first and being relegated to the last car on the lead lap. Millington owned the fact that that was a choice he made. He knew what the repercussions would be, but he has carried a bit of swagger and confidence with him ever since. And the results continue to show here at a place that he knows so well after coming home in 8th spot at Wilkesboro and now continuing to try to gap the field.
And again, it hasn't just been, we talk about his expertise here at Ace Speedway and how good he has been at this racetrack over the years, but it has been at plenty of different racetracks that we've gone to over the last couple of months. A 6th place run at Langley a couple months ago, a 6th at Dominion Raceway. Ran and got a little bit tight in North Wilkesboro, but still managed an 8th place run there. In all intents and purposes, probably had the fastest car at Hickory Motor Speedway. So that 15 car right now, they are dialed in. They are bringing speed everywhere. And again, not out of the hunt for this championship, especially if they can go to Cookout Victory Lane tonight. Mentioned the battle back up front for Caden Quapple, who restarted at the tail end of the field. He is now up into the 11th position as he gets by the mangled machine of Landon Lewis, the number 62, 4th different driver that has gotten behind the wheel of that KHI entry and that number 62, and 3rd driver that we've seen in the number 8, of course, with Carson Quapple, and the start that Mason Diaz made back in the spring race at Hickory.
He's got about a half a straightaway to go to chase down Connor Jones, who holds the final spot in the top 10. Ronnie Bassett Jr. has had a great charge up through the field after starting back in 18th position, now running in 9th. As Millington continues to lead over Brendan Queen by about 1 second last time through. Butterbean was a little bit faster than that of Millington. As we are coming around to about 10 laps shy of the iRacing Halfway Award, and that could mean a lot as far as how the rest of this race will play out, as Butterbean is starting to carve into that lead, but we lost a little bit there that time by.
One thing that is up the road from Ryan Millington is a little bit of lap traffic. You can see the 59 there of Heath Causey, who's won a couple races this year at Caraway Speedway. Of course, his father will compete later on tonight at Ace Speedway in the modifieds. Just up the road from Ryan Millington. They are too wide, well in front of that number 59 car, who gives way to Millington and will go a lap down. And as we continue to see the laps click off, it would be another 7 that they would complete that would make this race official.
The bad news for Millington is that in the cluster of cars just up the road are some really fast hot rods. Dean Ward, who had a great drive up from towards the back of the field, trying to stay on the lead lap. Isabella Robusto, who came in for adjustments on the last stop as well. And Minnie Tyrell, 5th in points, 2nd our last race out, all trying to stay on the lead lap for what would be our next competition caution, or Shitty Coolers competition caution, just a handful of laps past the halfway mark.
And following right in the tire tracks of that number 22 car has been the 77 of Trayton Lapsovich. Everywhere Connor Hall has gone, he has brought Trayton Lapsovich with him, and right now up into the 5th spot and driving away from that 29 of Brent Cruz. And Lapsovich looking to do the same. This is well behind 3rd runner in Bobby McCarty. You can see the gap that is back. That's the 23 of Cade Brown, who really needs this type of run. Again, it has just been bad luck aplenty for that number 23 of Cade Brown, who I think could really use just a solid 8th place, even an 8th place run. That team needs it, especially after Wilkesboro and just all that they've been through this season.
You see Millington working on the back of Buddy Isles, all the while Dean Ward, multi-time track champion here at Ace Speedway. He's brought his car to the pit area. His night may be over, as Millington and Isles are starting to tussle it up here, with Isles trying to stay on the lead lap in that 11 car. And Brendan Butterbean Queen, 0.8 of a second a lap ago was the margin. This time at the line, he lost just a few hundredths.
He's probably going to gain a little bit of it back here off of turn 2, as you can see Millington having to navigate some of the lap traffic. That is the 11 of Buddy Isles Jr. He's able to quickly go on by. Queen definitely made up some ground that time. And now the lap traffic going to get a little bit tougher each and every lap. And if Millington can get back to the stripe, this race is official.
Millington's going to come to the line, and Brandon Willard will show the cross flags. Millington's going to capture the iRacing Halfway Award, and this race will be in the books tonight, no matter what happens in terms of the weather. And also, as they were coming to the halfway point, Heath Causey pulled off as well in his number 59 car and has gone back to his hauler to end his night early.
I wonder if his father Scott is starting to do maybe a rain dance down at their trailer right now as Ryan Millington continues to pull away. Seems to have gained a little bit of ground after getting by Buddy Isles Jr. There you see Queen trying to catch up and march on through. You know, Brendan Queen made a pretty interesting comment yesterday when he said that, you know, it seemed like the more sideways I was, I don't know why, but the faster that this car was. It felt like it was, again, the best car that he has arrived to at Ace Speedway with Lee Pullier Performance, and is looking to put that to the test right now. Again, it's been short run speed that Millington has been so good at, but even as we saw at Hickory and at the very end of the race at Ace earlier this spring, just lost a little bit towards the end of the race. So Millington going hard right now with, again, potential weather still on the way.
And we talked about the success that Ryan Millington has had here. What about Butterbean? I mean, when you look at his resume at Ace Speedway, this is his 4th start here, and he's never finished outside the top 5 in his 3 prior appearances. He started 2nd here the last 2 races and 10th in May of 2023. His best finish was a runner-up effort last May as well, and he has led 70 of the 375 laps that he's turned before tonight's race coming into the weekend. It's a place that Butterbean knows really well. Hard to believe Lee Pullier has never won here at Ace, but they may have a bit of a hot rod. I love that we've got two confident drivers who are confident in their race cars running 1st and 2nd right now.
And again, the top 3 are just making so much quick work of the rest of the field. I mean, Bobby McCarty has fallen back about a 1.5 seconds from Brendan Queen there in the 3rd spot. All the way back to Connor Hall, it's about another 2 or 3 seconds all the way back to 4th. So the top 3 tonight, again, Ace Speedway, this is a very easy track where if you haven't figured out and you are dialed in, you're just dialed in, you're fast, it's easy to figure out. When you're a little bit off here at this racetrack, you tend to be off by a lot. And right now, these top 3 cars built so well to withstand this race. And Connor Hall, at least look at the lap times again, kind of matching what Millington is right now. Very close as we see the Shitty Coolers caution out here at the famous 4/10 mile.
I believe this will be a Shitty Coolers competition caution, and that is confirmed in our ear. And that will erase the lead that Ryan Millington worked so hard to build up as Landon Lewis dives in pit lane quite early.
Back underway here at Ace Speedway as Ryan Millington will bring us into the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Brendan Queen chomping at the bit to try and jump to the outside and take the lead in the accelerated GFX.com 285. Side by side off the corner, Connor Hall behind McCarty makes a dive to the inside of turn 3.
Top lane is how Millington got the lead away from Bobby McCarty. Now Butterbean's trying to do the same over that of Millington, with McCarty trying to fill the void. Should it open up behind that of the number 15 car? Queen falls back off the number of Millington as they exit the back straightaway as Millington tries to cement the lead.
A ton of fans pointing the 15 on by. He's popular here in Altamaha, but Brendan Queen able to get back down to the bottom. Millington takes the top spot for now. McCarty holds for 3rd, and Connor Hall, we mentioned how fast he was towards the end of that last run. Does he have something to try and chase down your top 3? Again, we mentioned this race is official. Last time we looked at the radar, somehow scattering around this racetrack. So perhaps the concern may not be as vital or as close as we thought it would be.
Queen about a car length back at Millington ever since he's been able to nestle himself up in the P1 off the restart, with McCarty riding in 3rd, points leader Hall 4th, and Brent Cruz, who came into this race 20 points after the championship points lead, with the car that is right out the windshield, riding in 5th.
Single file throughout most of the field. Once again, we're kind of seeing a lot of what we saw in that last run. The top 2, Millington and Queen, just turning so well. Right now it's McCarty off the pace on the front straightaway. Your 3rd place runner nearly got run into by Connor Hall.
And trouble off turn 4.
By.
Brandon Pierce is spun off the 4th corner as well. At the same time, the 6th car slowed in front of the points leader. And I don't know how Connor Hall didn't end up underneath the backside of McCarty, who already has the window net down in the 6th, floating back to the pits.
48 laps to settle the accelerated GFX.com 285. Millington back underway, and a tremendous launch for the restart. Doesn't have Queen clear off of turn 2 though. Side by side, Connor Hall, this may be exactly what he needs. These 2 battling in front of him if he can try to make a way by, but Millington for now just too strong.
But Connor Hall had a lot of counter steer in that car off turn number 2 a lap ago. This time a slight bobble with the back end off of turn number 2. Trying to hold on to third. That's McCumbee in the 16 inside of Lapsevich in the 77 in the battle for 5th. Lapsevich by half a car length protects the top 5 spot.
2x2 all the way behind. As you can see, McCumbee and Trayton Lapsevich running mere inches off of each other as the man out of Supply, North Carolina, trying to get by the Canadian. And the shitty cooler's caution is being displayed. Don't see any car that may be turned around. It's sprinkles on the windshield. Will bring the field into the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Stack up on the inside from the 44 of Connor Jones. But everybody able to react. We stay green, side by side, off the corner. A bump and a nudge from Millington up into Brendan Queen.
And as you said, Blake, we could be going 45 more, we could be going less. Butterbean wants the lead, but Millington powers his way back to the point at the end of the front straightaway. Now Brendan Queen on the outside, almost gets shoved up wide of the wall and has to drop back in line.
Queen sees this as his opportunity. Does he get in the back of Ryan Millington? Yes, he does. Up the hill goes the 15. New race leader here with 44 laps to go. Queen to the top spot. Millington will try the crossover off of turn 2, and he is down there heading into 3.
Some friendships in the grandstands may be foiled because there are a lot of loyal fans for both of these drivers in attendance, and it's starting to get physical. A nudge from Millington to get back to the inside, and they're door-to-door for the race lead off turn 2.
A physical battle up front, but how about the car behind him? That's the car that he dumped at the end of the race at Hickory Motor Speedway. How does that come into play? But for right now, your top 2 scurrying away from the number 22, despite the fact that they're side by side. Millington off the corner with the lead. Does Queen try the crossover? Not able to get it done.
Or does he try the bumper yet again? Not this time off turn 4. It's going to be Millington, the leader. Despite the battle, they've been able to break free of Connor Hall, who's under pressure for third, but Butterbean's got another good drive off the second corner.
Staying just close enough where Millington cannot make a mistake or open the door. Queen back to the inside, just a nose down to the inside of Ryan Millington as they'll slide into 1 and 2. Millington up into the second lane. They'll go side by side again. You can see the quarter panel caved in just a little bit for that number 15 as Queen trying to take the top spot once again. They nearly touch off the corner again.
How long can these two survive the blows? They are trading amongst one another. Millington not willing to fall back in line and move himself back to the inside. He's going to try to make the top side work as Butterbean slides wide in the middle of 3 and 4, and at the stripe, Butterbean Queen the leader by about 3 feet.
All right, if you're Millington,
oh, car in the wall and up and over. That's Stallings with a massive crash down the front straightaway. And Stallings is going to drive away from the scene after a savage wreck on the front straightaway. Similar to what we saw with Corey Heim at Caraway last July, Blake Stallings got pinched up into the front stretch retaining wall, got all the way up on the driver's side, and slid down the front stretch. Looked as though he was about to get toppled over, but the car came to rest. Ronnie Bassett Jr. has yet to roll from the scene.
My goodness, what an impact. As we see Queen, Millington battling up front and off the corner. Yeah, well, there goes the camera into the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. 38 laps to go. Great launch on the outside from Ryan Millington. Didn't look like he went early. He timed it perfectly. Does he try a crossover if he's clear of Connor Hall, but he's not quite down there? Now he is into 3. He gets to the bottom lane. He may brush the back end of that 03 car as several fans, they're cheering for Queen. Several fans, they're trying to wave on that 15 car.
At the back of the back, Caden Quapple was off the pace on the restart. He's trailing the field by a large margin. Here's the battle for fourth. Trayton Lapsevich inside of Brent Cruz. A little bit of contact there. That's Connor Jones, the white 44. Hooking the apron off turn 4. Continuing to work his way further forward with McCumbee trapped behind Cruz on the outside of the 16.
How about Connor Jones, who has had his hands full all night? Now he's got them full of Chad McCumbee, who makes a late dive. Dylan Harville spins in the middle of turn 3 and 4 after contact with Landon Lewis. And the Shitty Coolers caution will be displayed yet again. Somehow 36 laps feels like an eternity as we will get back underway here at Ace Speedway in the accelerated GFX.com 285. Millington looking to the top side once again. Is there a bump into the back of Brendan Queen into turn 3? No, but Hall may have had a nose on the inside of Millington, but slips up. Lapsovich trying to get by on the top side.
And somehow Millington was able to fend off Connor Hall's threat as they continue to battle off the corner. Millington back to the inside in the race for the lead in 3.
He is there. You can see him slip up a little bit as he tried to get on the brakes hard. He hopes he has enough of them here at Ace. New race leader. It is Ryan Millington with 34 laps to go. Side by side for first. They're side by side for third. Behind them now Queen behind Millington. Into the back of him. Sends him up the hill. Millington trying to hang on, and he will. All the way down the front straightaway. They continue to lean on one another.
Thought for sure those two were going to get locked together off corner 4. They are able to keep it off one another, at least at that point of the racetrack. Here comes Butterbean again to the back bumper. Shoves him aside as they come out of 4. Back to the bottom is Brendan Queen for the lead.
The fans that are still here are on their feet here in Altamaha. Millington trying to hold off Butterbean on the top side. They nearly brushed down the back straightaway. Now if you're Millington, how tight do you pinch him to the bottom? He knows his place just about as well as anybody. We've seen him make that outside line work time and time again, but don't forget about that 22 car that is just behind them, Connor Hall. You have to imagine at some point would be able to take advantage of these two going side by side. Millington, crossover. He is there going down into turn 1.
And that was a brilliant decision by Millington to elect to no longer fight outside and cut back inside as they bounce off each other twice on the backstretch.
At some point, what has got to give? Millington back to the lead. Queen back to the gas, trying to get to the back of that 15 car. He'll lean in the left rear quarter panel. A wiggle out of Ryan Millington, who holds on to the top spot. Does Queen lean on him again through the middle of 3 and 4? This time, not able to do so.
Let's think back to North Wilkesboro when Butterbean got moved aside for second spot by Mini Tyrell Lane and was not happy. Right now it appears the gloves are just about off in this race as there's been several bumps and nudges from both sides, including there again.
Again, Millington still hanging on as he gets another bump from Butterbean off of turn 4. The hole is open if he wants to get down. He does. Into 3. Does Millington return the favor? That he does, but Butterbean drives away off of turn 4. Another new race leader.
I feel like Connor Hall may be keeping his distance purposefully. He's watching the driver he tussled with at Hickory and the driver chasing him in the points. Just jab one another lap after lap after lap. Why not wait in the wings and see how wild this is going to get?
Again, I can't believe just how close those two cars could run together, how Butterbean could just lean into the left rear quarter panel, but not go too far, but just enough to nudge Millington out of the way. But he is not driving away from the 15 car. Still, 24 laps to go. This is a long ways to go. And now Millington looking for the race lead once again.
We talk about drivers trying to get the one that got away. For Millington, it might be 2. 100 laps led here in May. 121 laps led at Hickory.
Oh!
Didn't go to victory lane either time. He does not want to be denied tonight, and he's to the inside of the 03 and 1.
Queen got a little bit loose there in the center of the corner. Off at 2. Queen nearly into the fence. Connor Hall just lurking, waiting in the wings should something happen. Now Queen, a big slide off the corner as he tries to cut back down. Another new race leader. It's Ryan Millington, and now Queen leans on him again. Does Connor Hall look to make a move?
Queen may have a fender inside. Millington shuts the door, but not all the way. Here comes Queen. Here comes Hall. Side by side at the line with Queen now to the inside.
Somehow your top 3 have driven away from the rest of the field. Off at 2. Millington shoved up high. Now Connor Hall, is he close enough to close the door and get to the inside? Millington, another crossover. 20 laps to go. Is he to the inside? inside. Yes, he is, by just a nose. They'll lean on each other once again. How much longer can this continue?
And I think Connor Hall has been patient, but he's going to have to make a decision here because Connor Jones is closing fast up to fourth in the 44 car, and he is not going to be willing to ride steady behind the points leader, as this time we don't have a challenge for the lead, but there is Jones entering your picture. 4 cars under a blanket.
Again, 2 cars that are so evenly matched. I mean, can't believe the similarity in speed that they carry on entry, that they carry through the center. But Millington, maybe just a touch faster. Perhaps a nudge into the back off of turn 2. Does Millington make a move here in 3 and 4? This time by 17 laps to go. Millington peeking down to the inside. Queen will try to shut the door, and he's able to.
This race is starting to have flashbacks of Caraway. Not who gets the last laugh, but who gets the last tap. That's a big one. Queen way up the racetrack as Millington shoves his way to the lead.
What's going to happen now? Queen gathers it up, driving down into 1 and 2. He'll lead into Millington once again. The 15 Leisure Time Reynolds Chevrolet will try to drive away, but Queen is still there. Connor Hall just patient, trying to see if he can make a move now. Queen, Millington, they still lean on each other. 15 laps to go.
This is unbelievable here at Ace Speedway. Queen on the inside, Millington on the outside. They've touched one another at least once about every lap since the restart. And now they touch doors off of 4 with Millington leading by a quarter car length.
Yeah, Queen starting to look a little bit loose there on the inside. Millington, I think he knows he has to try and make it on the top side because Connor Hall is there. Down into 3. Millington tries to cut down, but Brendan Queen won't let him. Drive on the outside. It is still Riley Millington at the front here at Ace. 13 laps to go. He is clear for just a moment into 1 and 2, but now Connor Hall may make the move on Queen.
This may be what Hall was waiting for these two to start to slow down a little bit. There's a nudge aside. Now it's Millington who gets shoved off the bottom. Queen would have had the lead by 1/1000th of a second if that was the last lap. He led that lap through, and now he's got the advantage on Millington off 2.
I think Queen's starting to be smart. You can see him back up his exit off of 2 to not allow the crossover, but Millington's still going to be able to make it happen. He looks low. Queen goes to block. Millington is there down into turn 1. This is simply unbelievable as Queen, with Millington leaning into him, saves it off of 2. Now he gets another shove, and he's somehow going to save that. Connor Hall through to the lead.
Hall was waiting for that moment without Connor Jones up the inside on the points leader off 2.
Millington looking to the high side, 3 wide. Where on earth did Connor Jones come from? Off the corner, another new race leader. Jones, 9 laps to go, as now Queen dumps Millington into 1 and 2.
And the water that had been boiling and boiling and boiling for the last 20 plus laps has finally boiled over in turn 1. His window net's down. He might be pulling off for the night.
You have to wonder now, Queen, who was fighting for a championship, could there be a penalty issued here? As you can see, he gets down into the corner, washes up into Millington. Again, it's hard to say. I don't think that was intentional. He was just trying to get to the inside. You can 10 laps left to settle. The accelerated GFX.com 285 through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Remember, Jones had an issue on the last start, but he gets a great one here. Connor Hall still going to stick it to the outside. Do they look 3 wide off the corner? They do. Here comes Trayton Lapsevich down to the bottom, onto the apron here at Ace Speedway. He just barely misses the pit wall as Jones will lead back to the stripe.
A lot of headlines around Trayton Lapsevich and that Chad Bryant team after the win was taken away from that North Wilkesboro last time out. He's looking for immediate redemption the next time that this organization hits the racetrack, and he's battling with the points leader for second while Brett Cruz gets up to 4th behind him.
Lapsevich and Connor Hall side by side. You have to imagine if you're Connor Hall, he has been patient, and it paid off. How patient is he here with Trayton Lapsevich? These two side by side. Oh, no! Hall gets tagged by Trayton Lapsevich. Buddy Isles Jr. gets spun. 8 laps to go. The Shitty Coolers caution is back out, and it involves your championship points leader.
Unbelievable. After Connor Hall did just about everything right during the slugfest fight that was unfolding in front of him for the lead, he gets tagged out of second spot and spins in turn number 4, and that is the second race in a row that the 22 has found himself in some sort of skirmish, this one not resulting in too much damage.
Disagreement over real estate is what that looks like to me, just getting into turn 3. I think if you're Hall, you expected Lapsevich, who again, I mean, he ran all the way on the apron. He nearly hit the pit wall. A crazy one at Ace that is not done yet. Back to the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Connor Jones brings us back. 8 laps to settle it at Ace. Jones clear.
Oh, Harville skyward. And a wreck. That's Connor Jones who spun in turns 3 and 4. The race leader gets tagged, perhaps slowing for the caution. Or was it a second incident after Harville's car got up and into the wall? And the rear deck lid now hanging in Connor Jones's back trunk.
And again, that happened after the Shitty Coolers caution was displayed. As Harville goes up into the wall off of turn 2, and Connor Jones, your race leader, gets tagged after the flag was brought out. And there's a bit of a disagreement now. If Jones is not the leader, which I imagine he's going to be called to the pit area to get that deck lid, who is going to be the race leader? I don't know. It might have been McCumbee.
Well, I would say, being that we did not get a lap complete, it may revert back to what the running order was on our most previous yellow.
So Hall was put at the tail end of the field. Well, so we'll see here Connor Jones speeding up to the front of the field.
Here's what happened off 2. And that's Chad McCumbee into the back of Connor Jones. The question is, was the caution displayed? But it might be a moot point with that debris now.
Through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Cruz, a great launch. Brown did not get up through the gears. He may have a problem. They go around him as now Cruz has to fend off Mini Tyrell off of turn 2.
3rd in the points, 5th in the points. Run 1st and 2nd respectively, with Butterbean ripping the top on Quapo to try to get back to a podium spot.
Amazing that Queen is in such a position considering all that he went through just what feels like a mere few laps ago. Cruz trying to drive away. Remember, Tyrell's got some damage. Queen's got some damage. Quapo looks like he may have the cleanest car up here in the top 4. And now Quapo off the corner will hold strong in that 3rd position, 6 to go.
All throughout the field as Butterbean offers a warning shot to Caden Quapo in the middle of 1 and 2. Everybody seems to be hanging on a razor's edge margin in terms of handling characteristics of their race car to get to the finish. At the line, 5 to go. Brent Cruz is out in front by 0.4 of a second. This the battle for 3rd off 2.
And again, Connor Hall, who is just behind them, trying to make up every single point possible as he's picked off Buddy Isles Jr. Now he's looking underneath the 55 of Isabella Robusto off of turn 4, trying to salvage and keep Butterbean from making up some valuable points in the championship. Cade Brown slow off the back straightaway. That's going to be a spot as now Hall looks to the inside. They'll come around this time, 3 to go. Meanwhile, Brent Cruz.
I don't think Cade Brown's going to make it. That car may not make it to the pit area. It is rolling to a stop. Caution is out with 3 laps to go.
As if this could be a more wild night, Cade Brown, who had seemingly finally shaken the black cloud that has been over he and this race team for the last a handful of races, looked to be in a position to not only challenge for a top 5, but perhaps challenge for his first C-Max Cars Tour win. A problem off the corner. He is not able to get it all the way back into the pit area. And the Shitty Coolers caution will be displayed with just 3 laps to go. This one could get crazy. 3 laps left around the famous 4/10 mile through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. Brent Cruz will lead the field down into turn number 1, but Mini Tyrell hanging strong on the top side. He is there trying to challenge for the top spot as they head to turn 3.
Tyrell didn't have enough room to try to slide in behind Cruz to cut down low. Cruz washes up wide. Here comes Tyrell trying to get to the back bumper with 2 to go.
2 laps to settle it here. Tyrell tried to get to the back of Brent Cruz off of turn 2, but not able to do so. They'll head down into turn 3 this time. They're side by side behind them for 3rd. Cruz gets a shot from Tyrell, who has to get out of the gas. 1 lap left to settle it here in Altamaha. Brent Cruz, can he hang on for his 3rd win of the season? Minnie Tyrell hasn't won in 3 years. Into 3 and 4 for the final time. Checkered flag in hand, and Brent Cruz is going to win a wild accelerated GFX.com 285.